listening to?
R&B.
R&B? I mean, any particular artists?
Yeah, Sam Cooke.
How old were you?
Probably about 10, 12.
And how did you? Who was there? Somebody in the house that was listening to that music, or where did you? Or was it the radio, or where did you access that?
Combination of the radio. I have an older sister and older brother, and my older sister, she loved to dance and watch the early American Bandstand and stuff like that, and so I was turned on to a lot of different soul singers.
But Sam Cooke's one of the first ones that sticks out.
He was my favorite.
So did your sister have the records in the house?
Yes, there were records in the house. Even though we were poor, we had a record player and some albums.
Well, and vinyl wasn't always that expensive either.
Right,
you could go.
exactly.
I mean, you could save your money up, but you could go get a 45 or go get mostly it was 40 singles, wasn't it? Mostly. Or
Yeah,
did you have some
singles.
albums?
It
Yeah,
was singles.
that's
We
my
had a few
sister.
albums, but mostly singles.
So my sister had, at least to begin with, was singles until
Right.
kind of the Beatles came around, and then it was all
Yeah.
about albums, kind
That's
of.
right.
So Sam Cooke and listening to it at home. When did you first start to play music?
When I left home at 18, and I loved singing in front of people, but I didn't have a guitar or anything, so I would do it a cappella. And I'd go to these little clubs, these little coffee house type clubs, and I'd say, during their break, I said, would you mind if I sang during the break? And they said, sure. So I would sing during their breaks, but I didn't have a guitar or anything. And then I said, I need to learn to play the guitar. So I met this guy, and I said, could you teach me how to play guitar? He said, sure. So he taught me a few chords, and I didn't do well. And he goes, you'll never learn.
Wow.
Well, I told him, didn't I?
So that didn't discourage you?
No, not at all. It made me want to learn even more. And I picked it up pretty quick.
Did you pick it up on your own, or was there anybody else that came along to kind of help you?
On my own.
Just kept playing and playing
And I
and playing.
picked it up pretty quick, yeah.
So you were singing a cappella in like coffee houses
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. When's the first time you took the plunge and went on stage with it? Can you remember the first time you took the plunge and went on stage with a guitar?
No, it's too long ago.
But then you must remember some of the early days with the guitar, right? What was?
Oh, well, mostly I played in different house type churches.
Okay.
In the early days. So, and I played all kinds of styles and whatever, and playing with other people. I remember this one guy, he used to lead this worship singing at this one church. And I said, can I play along beside you? He said, sure. So I did, and I was just learning. It's like practice and whatever. Eventually, he quit playing and let me do it. I was leading everybody after that.
Wow.
So it was in the blood.
Like a choir, or at least a group of...
Well, just a group.
Just a
wasn't
group.
choir. Yeah.
So when you first started doing like the a cappella singing and you first started playing guitar, was most of it spiritual music?
No, it was R&B,
Okay.
from folk music.
In the churches? Or was that...
In the churches, it was more of a spiritual type music. But apart from that, when I would go to the coffee houses and stuff, my brother turned me on to folk music.
Mm-hmm.
And I really got into Peter, Paul, and Mary, John Denver, and people like that. So I started learning their songs.
Interesting.
And so I would do those in the different coffee houses and stuff.
So you kind of had a couple different styles working there. You
Yes,
had the
I did.
spiritual music and you had the folk music.
Right. And I wrote a lot of spiritual music as well.
Did any
Back
of
in
that,
the day.
Any of that make it on recording?
I made an album.
Okay.
It's called
I guess-
Moment by Moment.
I guess I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Do you still have the tapes to that or anything? Or
I think I could find one. Yeah.
Would you ever reissue that, do you think?
I might think about it, yeah.
I mean, that would be really interesting.
Yeah, it was a really neat time and learned a lot. And as a result, when I became part of Madison Ward of the Mama Bear, I was familiar with going to recording studios.
You've kind of done
like
your
that.
10,000
Yeah.
hours plus. So moment by moment, were they like traditional hymns and spirituals?
No, I
or
wrote them all.
You wrote all the songs. Oh, I'd love to hear that. I don't know that I've ever heard any of that.
Really? Okay,
so,
I'll make sure you get to hear it.
Yeah, I love it.
I think you'll like it, though.
Oh, I would love it. I
Yeah.
love spiritual music, especially kind of traditional spiritual
Right.
music. I think
This is a little more of a folkish type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that sounds great.
Yeah.
So so you talked about kind of the first music you heard outside of the church. It was Sam Cooke and the R&B and that kind of thing, and then the folk songs like John Denver and who do you think? And I know we've talked about this a little bit before, but when you think about how your playing has progressed, your singing, your songwriting has progressed, Who do you think are some of your biggest influences, maybe then and now? Who are some of the biggest influences?
Well, Janice Ian was a big influence, and I got to know her. So she wrote the song 17. It was big back in the day, and we have become friends as a result. And then there is Tracy Chapman. And when I was listening, I'll never forget, I don't know if I told you this the last time, somebody said, hey, you need to listen to Tracy Chapman. Oh, she's over the top. She sounds like you. And I thought, oh, okay. So I listened to her, and she was over the top. But my son, my oldest son, he was like 4 at the time, heard Tracy on TV. And he goes, Mom, you're on TV.
Well, you do a great version of her song, Sorry. That's one of my favorite songs that you sing.
I like that song.
Tell me, if it's, if you're willing to share this, tell me about how you met Janice, where and how you met Janice Ian the first time.
Well, I was in Alabama, and we were doing, with Madison Ward and the Mama Bear, and we were doing a film there with a silent movie film. The video for the song? The
silent
video,
movie?
yeah, right. And the lady that was controlling all of that, we were talking and sharing, and she asked some of the same questions that you asked. And I found out that she knew Janice Ian. I said, you know Janice Ian? She goes, yeah, would you like to meet her? I said, sure. Didn't think no more about it. So we had left, and we were headed north. And I'll never forget, we were like Wisconsin or someplace. And we were all in the van, everybody that played with Madison Ward and Mama Bear, we were all in the van, and the phone rang. And my son said, hey, be quiet, everybody, Janice Ian is on the phone. And that was my first time talking with her.
She just called up to have a conversation with you. Because of that connection that you made with the...
Right, and then she was living in Nashville at the time. And I said, next time I'm in Nashville, maybe we can connect. And sure enough, next time I was in Nashville, we connected.
That's neat. And
we've been friends since.
That's great. That's a great story.
She's a neat lady, too.
Well, Janice Ian, who you developed a friendship with, and Tracy Chapman. Mm-hmm. And we've also talked a little bit before in the past about Mavis Staples. What can you say about Mavis?
One, she's too good. And a friend I sang at one of her gatherings, I think it was in Chicago. And she said that she knew Mavis Staples. And I said, you do? She said, would you like to meet her? I said, yeah. But that never happened. But
it might still.
That would have been neat.
She's still out there.
Singing,
she's still out there doing it.
Doing her thing.
If you're ever up here, and we should look the next time you're coming up here to see if she's playing locally, and we should all go see her if we
that'd be
get
awesome.
tickets, because
that'd be awesome.
She just came off a pretty extensive tour. So.
Man, and she's 80-something years old.
Won't stop.
Yeah, I know. She ain't gonna stop.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. Well, we'll keep an eye out for that.
That sounds great.
See if we can get us to a show.
She's excellent.
So think about kind of the journey you've taken with music, and where you are today. And I know you played the last couple of years at the Duke's Blues Festival, and you played, of course, all around the world with Madison Ward and Mama Bear. If you were talking to Ruth Ward, like say the 18-year-old version of yourself,
Lord,
right now, what and of course then the whole landscape's changed as far as music goes and everything
exactly.
else. What was there any advice or any kind of guidance you would give to someone who maybe was out there singing a cappella, picking up the guitar for the first time, playing around, writing some songs? Anything that comes to mind, wisdom that you would share?
I think the biggest thing is believe in yourself, even when other people don't believe in you. And because things happen. I would have never dreamt to be singing on that show?
David Letterman.
David Letterman show, and on Good Morning America at age 63. A lot of people would have thought if anything's going to happen, it would have happened way before then. You never know when it's going to happen. And a lot of your singers back in the day, like Mississippi John Hurt and people like that, old blues singers, they didn't get their start really until they were older.
Yes.
And I was able to have a run with it. And now I know what I'm not missing to a degree. Only thing I'm missing is money. But other than that, it's an incredible experience, but you pay your dues. You pay your dues. And I think that if you believe in yourself and you're a pretty good musician, and you don't have to be the best singer. Even Bob Dylan is not the best singer, but everybody knows his name. And if you believe in what you're doing, go for it.
And be yourself.
Yeah, just be yourself.
Well, and even though, you may have stepped in a way you kind of come full circle, because, you were singing in coffee houses and churches and writing songs, and just kind of enjoying music as part of your life. And you've kind of come full circle to where, music's still a big part of your life.
Yes.
And even though you're not on that faster track anymore,
Right.
Just because you stopped the music business, I guess David Letterman retired, right? You're
Yes.
the reason he retired. But music's still a big part of your life.
Oh, will always be.
Listening to it, playing it, sharing it, whether it's just with a few friends around the house or doing something
Or having
like,
people coming over.
Yeah.
I used to have dinner parties at my house, and I'd have different people playing, and I would play too. And I have about 12, 15 people come, and we have big gatherings, and it was really neat.
Well, it's interesting. It's been interesting for me to watch as I've known you, and Susan and I have known you these past few years. It's been interesting to watch how the music's still there, it's still important, and it's evolving, but how art has taken now a new focus. I mean, I know art's always been there for you,
Yeah.
but it's kind of taken a renewed focus in your life.
Yes.
Anything you want to say about where you're at now in your journey with art?
Oh man, I'm on a great journey. It's almost like a musical journey because, like I said, you got to have that stick-to-itiveness and believe in yourself. And since I've been painting and drawing and learning, and I've learned a lot from your wife Susan, especially painting rocks. I've experienced things that I would have never experienced before, and I think God does that. He puts people together, and I learn from him. It's just like teach me. I mean, Susan's trying to teach me how to frame a painting with a wood and a saw, and I'm thinking, who is this person? But anyway, it is great, and that's something that I want to continue doing, is the painting.
I guess we'll wrap up with this question. When you think about music, when you think about art, creativity in general,
Right.
what are the things that inspire you today? What are the kinds of things that inspire you to create, whatever that creation is?
Well, one thing that has happened to me, I look at things differently. The tree is no longer just a tree. The clouds are no longer just clouds. I used to think clouds were white, but they're really kind of tinted with a gray mist. Trees got chunks in them and barks, and there's darkness and there's light and there's shadows. That has opened up inside of me that I would have never dreamt.
I remember watching just a couple of nights ago, we were watching a movie together, and that landscape came on, and you were like, ooh, I'd like to paint that.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
So you're looking at the world in a different way.
Total
Through
different eyes. Yeah, total different eyes. And I'm loving it. I love it, every minute of it, because I got a lot to learn. And I also appreciate other artists as well.
Well, you have a lot to share too. It's great that you are so generous in sharing your art and the way you're looking at the world. Well, Ruth, this is a great discussion about music and art and creativity. Anything you'd want to add as we kind of wrap up?
Well, I just want to thank you for doing this podcast and asking me these questions and teaching me how to talk to people.
I don't think you need any help talking to people. I think that's a natural. I think that's a natural strength of Ruth Ward. I'll tell you.
It's fun, and thank you, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.